Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the 1974 Camper Special again with the 460 rebuild. 460 is already installed, so let's get you guys caught back up and see how we got here. Well guys, back to work on the 74 Camper Special with a 460. I got the 460 back from the machine shop. Ended up having to go 30 overs on it because they didn't have 20s. It had about 10 thousandths wear in the bores, so we had to go to 20s to clean it up, and they didn't have 20s in stock, so we went to 30s, which sucks because it limits your future rebuilds. But I don't imagine this truck's going to see a lot of wear and need a rebuild anytime soon, so I think we're good there. Got a RV cam, or a torquer cam, I think is actually called on it. Just a little bit of little hotter cam in it to give it a little bit more torque. Have a newer timing set, or an older timing set, like a 69 429, I think's what the machinist specs. It's just the earlier timing set before they started doing emissions and retarded cam and everything. It really wakes these motors up when you do that, because those retarded cam is for emissions, and it kind of makes them kind of a turd. But a little bit hotter cam, new timing chain set, and fresh engine. This thing ought to run pretty good. Let's see, I've been working on the intake. It was full of varnish. You can still see some in there. It's being a pain. I got carb cleaner in there. It's acetone, and it's eating it away, but not very fast. So I have a brush. I'm going to try to scrub as much as I can to get as much of this out of here as I can. My parts washer, I have a Cuda parts washer. It's not touching it. So been using carb cleaner to try to get it out. I don't know if I'm going to have to soak it. I'll have to get a bucket of solvent and try to soak it to get that stuff out of there. But it's pretty nasty stuff. Some of it came out on the floor here, and it like won't come off the concrete. I'm gonna have to degrease the concrete and get that stuff off of there. But still working on that, and I'm gonna have to do that to the carburetor as well, because I'm sure the inside of the carburetor looks just like that. Working on the springs. I got some replacement springs coming. This thing, I have had a crash course on a Ford truck springs, because I've never noticed the difference. But this has what they call the tall bucket, or it's like an F350 style. Since this is a Camper Special, the GVW is 7500, and if it was 6900 and above, it has these style springs and this style bucket. If it was 6900 below, it has a flat top bucket that's only slightly above the frame rail there, and the springs are different on top. They're flat on top. They don't have this pigtail. But anyway, I found some replacements. They're a lot more expensive and harder to find. Got them from National Parts Depot. So those are coming. And also got the rubber piece for up here on the cowl. I got the plug for the cowl. And whoever did the painting, I'm assuming that's who it was, didn't put the washer, not be able to reach it. Where's this one at? Right here. The washer deal's back in here to spray washer fluid. So I'm gonna put those back in, put the grommet in, and put the rubber trim right here in. So that'll all be as it should. And the exhaust manifold, the driver's side exhaust manifold was cracked right here and cracked right here. I tried to TIG weld it. I have some filler rod for cast, and I tried to TIG it, but it just didn't like it at all. Just blew it out, kind of like, bad metal, dirty cast iron. I might try brazing it. I'm going to do some research on this, but this is a 74 manifold, and you can't get them, and I can't find any available. 73s and 74s were different. This is a 75 manifold that we had, and it's the outlet is angled slightly different. You can get these all day long, but you can't get these. And I would have to change the exhaust system, and there's nothing really wrong with the exhaust system. So I'm going to try to fix this. If we can't, we might be changing the exhaust system to fit these. Just a little bit of modification, but hopefully I might try TIG brazing this. I've never done it before, but I'm going to do some research on it and see if I can get that to work. I don't know if it's going to hold up or not, but I'm going to give it a try because I can't find a replacement manifold for that. But getting right along on it, I have to get the engine assembled. First, I have to get that intake cleaned out, then get the engine assembled and put it all back together, and then we'll be stabbing it back in there. I also got a radiator. Got a replacement radiator from Summit. They have a copper brass radiator like the originals. It's pretty nice. Looks like the original too. So that's cool. We didn't have to put a nice shiny radiator in it that looks out of place. So, and they're actually pretty affordable considering what they're made out of and everything. So that's pretty neat. Got that in. That will go in after all the engine and everything's in there. So we're just going to leave it in the box so it doesn't get damaged. Brakes all look good. Got the new master in. Got a new starter, new alternator, new ignition box. Just a bunch of tune-up stuff, and getting this thing ready to be back on the road for good. So we'll get after it. Well, I got some springs here for this 74 Camper Special we're fixing up. First I ordered these springs and didn't really do much looking, and that's what I get for not paying attention. But this truck actually has what would be slang term as high bucket. It's be like the same bucket an F350 has, and even our crew cabs have the same bucket. The 250 has the same bucket. But since this truck is a Camper Special, it has 7,500 GVW, and I ordered these springs, which are just standard F250 springs, and therefore 6,900 GVW and below. So that's what I get for not looking at the door tag. But I was going to put new springs on my 72 Camper Special, and these fit that, so no loss there. I'm just going to save these for when I put springs in that truck for the same reason, because this thing was sagging. Here's the original springs. As you can see, it has this dog ear up here, where this one's flat. The coil buckets on the shorter ones, the coil's flat on top and a lot shorter. But these are a little sagging a little bit. You can see there was some spacers in there to try to jack it up, and those will make the thing ride worse. So put new springs in it. Got the correct springs here. They were like twice as much, actually more than twice as much, but at least they're the right springs. So these will get the front end jacked back up to where it's riding where it should be, and hopefully look a little better. And I'm hoping that changes some of the handling characteristics of the front end here. She complained of the truck wanting to wander down the road, not track straight, and that can be alignment, and sagging springs can alter your alignment. So I'm going to do that, see if that fixes it. If not, I'll probably have to take it to a professional shop and have it professionally aligned, because I don't have alignment equipment here. I can do it with a tape measure, which is good enough for my stuff, but on customer stuff I kind of like to have a little bit better job of doing stuff like that. So that's not a big deal. When I get running and driving, we can take it and get it aligned and see how it goes. So I'm going to get these springs stuffed in there, and this thing is Camper Special. It has that sway bar, so it makes it a little tricky, but I'll get after it. Well, I got the springs installed. It wasn't that bad. Ended up having to take the other tire off and drop both of the I-beams down at the same time to get enough sag in it to get these springs in. But I think they're going to do the job. They're going to be, I can already tell they're a little bit stiffer than the other ones, or at least not sagged out, because it picked the truck up sooner. Even with the engine in it, though, or without the engine not in it, it's going to droop down a lot more. But I could tell they had a little bit more resistance in them, which is what we were after, so we could get that extra ride height that we were missing with these springs. But I got those springs in, and I got the engine over here, and I'm going to start working on the engine. Well, the 460 is just about ready to go in. Have the exhaust manifolds on it, got the intake manifold and everything on it, water pump, balancer, most of the stuff that you would want to do with it in the truck. Flex plates on it now. So next step we're going to be setting it in there and getting everything lined up. So we'll get after that, and once I get it set in there, then it'll be putting all the accessories and everything on it, and finishing the install. One more thing before I stab this motor in, I thought I would point out one thing I like to do that makes things a little bit easier on these automatics is if you can see the studs on the torque converter where the nuts go on, I have those lined vertically up, and also the flex plate. I line the holes in the flex plate vertically up. That gives you a little bit better chance of getting that seated in there the first time without having to do any fiddling around. Sometimes the torque converter can move back and forth when you're getting the dowel pins and everything lined up, so it can get out of line that way because that converter spins in there free. But if you have them pretty close to straight up and down is the way I like to do it. Sometimes you can get lucky and they'll just fall in, and then you don't have to try to get the studs in the right spot and lined up. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Now we'll be doing the time lapse of the engine install, so let's get after that. Well, got the motor in. It fought me a lot harder than I was expecting it to, but got it in nonetheless. It's just got a couple of transmission bolts in it, and it's just sitting in there. I don't know if all 460 motor mounts are like this, but these motor mounts in this thing were a pain. I've never dealt with anything that was that hard, and it just the motor mount is the rubber part. The rubber isolator part has two tabs that go on the engine pedestal, and then there's a bucket kind of a thing on the block, and it has two tabs that go over the top of it, and you can't just set it straight down or go in, or you have to kind of rock it and bring it into place before it can get down far enough to go into the transmission. It was a pain. Finally got both of them lined up, and then got the bell housing lined up with the engine, got the flex plate in the bell housing. That's, you know, getting the flex plate in over the steps so it can go inside the bell housing. Got that done. And then it was just a matter of getting the dowels lined up and getting the engine twist just right, and then it slid right in. So it's in. And a good thing to check is make sure your torque converter is loose when you do this. Make sure nothing's in a bind back there, because things can get in a bind if something's not in there right, and then you start it and it'll tear stuff up. The way I do that normally is you can either grab the stud on the converter and move it, but if it's too tight where you can't do that and wiggle it back and forth, you hear it knocking, you can wiggle the engine and hear the converter knocking. Here, I'll just go ahead and do it here so you can hear it. You'll just hear that converter knocking back and forth because it's loose. You hear that? That's the converter hitting the flex plate. But that's a good thing to always check and make sure nothing's in a bind back there, because I've never had it happen because I always check it, but I've heard stories of people tearing up pumps on transmissions and converters and stuff from stuff not being lined up just right and causing problems. But anyway, now it's just all the little stuff. Got to get all that stuff buttoned up, mainly get the bell housing bolts in, and then then I'll get the essentials to run, essentials to make it run, and then I'll do the break-in procedure for the engine and the cam shaft, and break the camshaft in, and then once all that's good, then we'll finish assembling everything. Usually I like to do stuff bare minimum, just because if you have to take something apart, just less you have to take back off and everything. But I'll have to do cooling system and everything, because we have to break that cam in, so I'll need cooling system and everything, all that functional. So there's going to be quite a bit that's assembled, but just a few of the odds and end things we can leave off for now. But anyway, we got to get going on this. I'm probably going to do a lot of this off camera, just because it's kind of boring. And then when I get further along, I'll meet back up with you guys here and show you the progress. Okay, guys, another thing that I got finished up was I got the new hood seal right here put in. You know, that was missing. New rubber plug in there, and got the washer hoses and nozzles put back on, and there's the T and everything. I still have to put these up and clean up that stuff there, but whoever did the repaint, they just left this stuff hanging down here. They didn't put that plug back in, and this was missing. So I thought that makes it a little bit nicer in here, makes it a little bit more finished. If you earlier in the video I showed you this right here, and you can tell it just looks, to me anyways, it just looks a lot cleaner with this stuff put on there the way it should have been, instead of just dangling in the engine compartment. But I think that helped it out a lot. Got a new ignition box there, new master. What else? I did new alternator, new starter. You know, just all the hoses and belts, all the general stuff. Trying to take care of all that stuff that's might cause a problem in the future. The distributor looked good, plug wires looked good. So all that stuff was functioning. The vacuum advance was functioning. Sometimes, you know, the diaphragm goes bad on those, but all that's working good. And put new fuel line on it and stuff. Just kind of replacing things as I go, and all the stuff that you kind of want to replace as you do a rebuild. But that's I think I got you guys caught up on everything I've done so far. Well, guys, got the engine installed in the truck, all the accessories on, and we've actually already fired it and broke in the cam. So a lot of times I get ahead of myself and forget to film. So I didn't film any of that, but it wasn't too eventful, and breaking the cam in is kind of boring. You're just kind of running at high RPM, modulating the throttle, and you know, basically keeping oil, a good amount of oil to that camshaft for about 20 minutes and getting it up to temperature. Did all that, and we only had to stop once, or we had to stop a few times for I had to make sure the transmission was topped off, because it started making some noise. I was worried it was low on fluid. Topped off the transmission just so we weren't running it dry. And another thing we had, what was the other thing we had? We had to stop for something else, but I can't remember. Wasn't a big engine deal, but anyway, the engine went good. We had some fuel delivery, getting fuel to it. I filled the bowls up on the carburetor, and tried to suck some from the front tank, and it didn't like it. We couldn't. We had it running twice with the fuel on the carburetor, and it wouldn't pick up much. Pulled the bowl on the fuel filter, and it smelled pretty old. So I went ahead and ran it off a tank, the gas tank here, just to eliminate, so we're not running bad gas through this thing. It was running on the rear tank when I got it, and the rear tank is really old gas. You know, it's the varnished up stuff. You can just tell. You open the gas cap and you can smell it and tell it's old. But the front tank smelled good and clean, smelled like good gas. So I thought we'd try it, and I don't know if the pickup is plugged up or something. It wasn't pulling fuel from that one very good. So I have to figure that out. But you know, that's not a big deal. I'm just going to drain all the fuel and put new fuel in it, so we don't have to worry about it. That fuel that I smelled in the fuel bowl when I took it off might have been just some residual in the line, even though I cleaned the line out. Might have just been a little bit of residual in the line, and that's what made it smell like old gas. But better safe than sorry. So I have clean, fresh gas in there that we used, and once I did that, it ran great. Got it up to temperature. Was about 180 degrees, so it stayed good. A new fan clutch. And that's another thing. The fan clutch started leaking, or clutch fan. People call them different things. I call them a fan clutch. So I got a new fan clutch on there. That was doing good. Pulling a bunch of hot air out of that new radiator right here. So that kept the temperatures in check. So it was pretty uneventful. There's a lot of smoke out the back. If you remember the first episode on this, I'll link that in the description, and I'll put a card up here for you if you want to go back and see the first video on this if you missed it. But it had a bunch of gas. The float stuck and was running a whole bunch of gas through the engine too much, and it had black sooty gas dripping out of the exhaust, and it was smoking, and it was just all kinds of stuff in the exhaust. And it was when I got this thing up to temperature, it was smoking out the back. But that all cleaned up, so that's good. And yeah, it went pretty uneventful. I'll see if we can start it here for you guys, since I didn't film when we did it yesterday. Get the battery on it. And we were checking timing and stuff. Got the timing set. Let's see if she'll start. It was starting pretty easy yesterday, so. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Looks like she might be idling a little bit low. It's idling a little bit low. Might have to adjust that, but yeah, running pretty good. I won't run it too long here in the shop. Don't want to get too many fumes in the shop here. Our O2 detectors would start going off. Or carbon dioxide detectors. But anyway, I'm going to finish buttoning this thing up. Not too much left to do on it. Have to bleed the brakes, drain that fuel, get it running off the tank again, get the AC back on it. And she'll be ready for the road. So I think we'll do that stuff. I won't bore you guys with that bleeding the brakes stuff. That's kind of pretty mundane stuff. There's the AC compressor, the air filter. But I think this truck is pretty close to being done. The owner wants to take it to a car show next week, so I think I'll get it buttoned up and running, where she can take it to the car show and tell me if she wants anything else done to it. Kind of do a checking on it for me. And we might be doing some more stuff to it if she thinks we need to. But right now, I'm just going to button it back up, get the hood back on it, and take her for a drive. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode on this 74. I know it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but I think it was fun anyway. It's a beautiful truck, and 460s are great engines, so it's fun to rebuild those and get this truck running real good, top shape. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you like this kind of content, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.